Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
All right. So we are going to try this. Wow. Very interesting. So we need to, how do you sort data? Do you know? You guys had tried sorting the data, right? Hello.
So how to sort it on Python?
Zoop. This looks a little better.
So what does sort values do?
We'll sort it.
According to what? Like sort how?
Sorted by radius and texture, na? Here you see this by radius and texture. So it's sorting the value by radius and texture. Got it or no?
So can you put the code in the chat?
So scatter might be better. Ooh. to how is it? Okay. Okay, so I plotted it only for malignant. Okay, so let's try to plot it only for the other one also. Benign also we can do the same. And let's try and plot it for that. You see the difference? Hello? Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so the way why we were getting this data because it's not sorted. That is one. And two, there are two different kinds of information in this. Now, if I plot a scatter plot, let's plot a scatter plot of this information. Okay, I'll plot two scatter plots. There is no cluster which I can see. I don't think there is a specific cluster based on these two values.
So I'm not understanding how are these two different. You have plotted radius and texture only.
These values peak and M, this is values peak and B.
Oh, okay, sorry.
नहीं तो वो कलर सेम ही नहीं दिखेगा ना, एक ही कलर दिखेगा. I created two values. First I extracted only the rows for benign. Then I extracted the rows only for malignant. Got it? So let's try for other. So you have primarily is the radius, and we can try for area also now. Okay. So first I take these two. Yep. So once I sort it, I can see the difference. If I don't sort it, I don't see any difference. Okay, does that help? Hello?
So wait, I'm trying to read the last part that you've written.
When I see this, right, I plotted radius and area, though there is a red point over here, but you can actually kind of see a cluster like this. The values below this, right, are a red, and values above it seem to be okay. There are some outliers, but I can actually make out.
So,
Yeah,
so can you scroll up a little? I have a question.
yeah.
Yeah, so sir, in this input 19, you've written pecan MA is equal to pecan 1 and then bracket diagnostic result M. But sir, if in pecan 1 only we put sort values by diagnosis result M, will that work?
That can also work.
So then how do you tell in the beginning that you want only M when you're assigning pecan 1? How do you do that?
You want it in this only, in this sort only.
Yeah, in the sort only.
I'll have to check that.
Because I don't understand what is this pecan MA trying to do.
It's just filtering the data. I have only M values. So if I print this, right? This has only M values.
Okay.
Malignant.
Yeah.
That BA has only benign values. So you can actually see, like I said, right? You can easily see a trend over here. You can see a cluster above this value, right? You see all the red colors above this value is where the malignancy starts. The area. This is the area. So irrespective of this radius, right? It's more about the area. Even if the radius is so high, 25.
Yeah, it can be benign.
Yes. So you can easily
Because
see
the
a cluster
area is
here.
less.
You remember that iris diagram we saw
Yeah.
in college?
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you are able to easily figure out that this is actually a very good example of uh, clustering. Where just looking at the diagram, you can say that, okay, yes, this there's high possibility that this person, right? If I take this data, right? If I actually take this data and let me just show that to you. Since you brought this up, let me just show that. It's a very interesting thing. If I plot radius and area, hopefully it'll start up. So what you are also trying a bar chart, no? You're not getting a bar chart.
No, I was trying a line only. I've not tried a bar.
But you got it now.
Yeah.
This is happening because the data was not sorted yet. So it will go like zoom, 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 zoom.
But you're telling the data, right, that take only these two values. So then why do you have to sort it again? I didn't understand.
Because it's not sorted. The data is not sorted by that radius and this, right? If I look at it, I see radius, I see texture. I see radius 9, then I see texture 13. Then I see radius 21, then I see 27. So the way it's plotting the line, right? It's going from this point to this point to this point to this point to back here.
Okay. So after you sort it, what would the data look like?
After I sort it, it'll look different, right? If it's sorted over here, right? You notice radius 9, 9, 10, 10, 10. It's an order.
Oh, okay.
So sorry, I'm just jumping to Tableau because I just wanted to check it out here as well. This is what we are seeing over there. Getting it? This is what we are seeing. This B and M. Notice the same thing over there. Hello? Right. So, and if I try it over here, I take radius and area, right? See over here in Tableau, automatically it has sorted the value. There, I mean, obviously we were not plotting a scatter plot. We are plotting a line. That is why it was not showing it in that way. Now, if I go over here and I do cluster. Yep. Now it has created a cluster like this, wherein the cluster should be this way, horizontally. Make sense? All right. Any other questions, guys? You can even try with the other smoothness, compactness and all that, symmetry and stuff. You can even try that. Do you see some kind of grouping which comes in? Okay. If you're fine, so we are going to now move to another area, another topic actually. We are going to talk about something called as regression. And we're going to see how that is done in Python, how that can be done in Python. Any idea what is regression?
Checking if any of your variables have some kind of similarity or correlation.
Linearity, yes. Yes, anybody else? Okay. Do all of you know what is supervised learning, unsupervised learning, not under supervised, unsupervised, and reinforcement learning? I know at some point I have explained this to all of you, but do you remember what is supervised learning? With data labels, yes, that is supervised learning. What is unsupervised learning? Wherein you don't have the data labels. And then you have reinforcement learning. So, data mining task of inferencing a function from labeled training data. So the way it works, right? So if I am pretty sure you know this example, what is the label for this particular fruit? What could be the label? The color, the size, the color, the size, right? Fruits for apple, right? So we have been taught in that sense, right? From from a very young age, we have been taught in that aspect that what is the uh, basically we've been shown pictures of each of these items, and when we were small we were asked to kind of remember, okay, this is, when you look at this you should think this is an apple, when you look at this is a grape, when you look at this is an orange or a pomegranate or any other fruit for that matter, right? That is how we have been taught. In the same way we teach a machine. The machine is taught using supervised learning. So what we do, we feed hundreds and thousands of images to a machine, to a computer, using which it can identify a particular image, using which it will identify that, okay, this is an apple, this is a fruit, this is an orange. Tomorrow, if I say that, okay, I have trained the machine on an apple, and tomorrow I show a photograph of a pomegranate. It's 90% chance that it will tell that it is an apple. Why? Because the machine does not know that this is another fruit which is in red color. Make sense? Because we have not trained the machine in that sense. We have not trained the machine that we also have another fruit which is in red color. Based on this, I can have grapes which are red colored also, black colored also. So the machine might not recognize, if I am going to show only grapes as green colored grapes, the machine might not recognize the red colored grapes or the black colored grapes. Right? So what is important is every time you show something new, the machine has to be trained to identify those. Right? These labels are there for this shape, right? This again has to be broken down into something else. It has to be broken down further. I cannot give this statement itself to the computer. Again, it has to be, the shape might have round, then heart shaped, long, round, round. Right? So like that, I need to decide and I need to showcase that to the computer. Basically, what is classification is, so yeah, this is where I'm training the machine. So classification, I'm just trying to predict the quantitative targets. For example, the type of the fruit. So what we saw over here, right? Why I mentioned when I look at this, right? When I look at this particular graph, I can easily classify this based on this color. I can easily, just looking at it, I know that, okay, if the area is more than 400 or 500, right? There's high possibility that it is a malignant, it's a case of malignant cancer, right? Just looking at the diagram, I can easily tell that. There might be other parameters as well, but yes, but just looking at this, I can do that. So that is a way of classification. So I have those labeled information and I can classify the data over here. And normally, right, normally how you work, you do not split any data. We might not have split any data at this point of time. But as a child, you learn something in school. You learn something, your teacher taught you that, okay, this is an apple, this is a grape, this is a pear. You were taught all these elements. When you when you go home, your parents also make you revise that, right? So there, in a way, they are, your teacher and your parents are training you. You are getting trained to identify this particular image is an apple. Tomorrow, if anybody shows you a photograph, you should be able to say that this is an apple in whatever direction that might be. The apple might be upside down, right? It can be, the apple can also be in this way, or the apple can also be, is there a 3D? It can be this way also, 3D rotation, right? The apple can be in this way also. It is still an apple. So whatever way you see it, right, you can still say, okay, this looks like an apple. You know that. But for a computer, you need to even provide this kind of information. You have data like this, but you need to turn it around and show it also. You need to give 3D rotation or whatever it is required, right? You need to show the apple from different ways. So like I was saying, you are trained from that aspect. You have been trained, which is why what happens is you train the data. You are training the model in this case. Whenever you have data, you have to split that data into training and test. That test is used to validate the model, whether the model is coming correctly or not. And we'll talk about that more in detail. Primarily, it's like before you give your final exam, you give your prelim exam. So you come to know that how much have you learned, and finally you give your, in the end you give your final exam. Right? Make sense? That is how I look at it, is in terms of training the model, testing the model, and then finally you put it in production and check. Make sense? Obviously, there are a lot of examples. We'll come to that example later. Yes, supervised learning. Regression is more with numbers, especially linear regression, multiple linear regression, right? Those are with numbers. Classification has, yes, labels. So because you already have some information, that is where you have, it is called supervised learning. In unsupervised learning, you do not have these labels. So here, what we were trying to do, right? This is an example of supervised learning. I have the labels. I know the color. I mean, I just can look at this. Using this, I can train my model and find out that any other point which comes in, right? I can say that it is a, what is the probability that it is benign or malignant. So if there is a point which comes in over here, there's every possibility it is malignant. If a point comes over here or here, it is very high possibility that it is benign. But over here, this I have not given any labels. So it is not grouping it correctly. It is basically taking this as one group. It is taking this left hand side as one group, right hand side as the other group, which should not be the case actually. So this is not a good model, by the way.
So that means we cannot take radius and area to be two factors to understand whether the new data point will be benign or malignant. Does that what it means?
No. I am saying this clustering is wrong.
Oh, okay.
Because this is an inbuilt clustering. It's not really doing something. There's no label over here.
Taking clusters this way.
It's internally it's calculating some values. So if I, let's say, describe the cluster, you can see what it does. Yeah, it's using some other method to calculate the clusters. So this clustering is indicating, so here, right, I have the labeled information, but I am over here with, when you don't have labeled information, this is how the structure will look like. Once you come to know the label, then you can actually correct this. Make sense?
Okay. Yeah.
So it's like I have all students standing in front of me, and on the right hand side I have all employees, corporate employees, students and corporate employees. I can easily cluster them, right? I mean group them. But I do not know if they are all mixed up, how do I find out the two? I don't have that label with me. So what the computer does in clustering is automatically, based on its understanding, will cluster these values together. Because these points look closer to each other, these points look closer to each other. Make sense? Got it or no? Okay. So here I can even try texture. Whoa. So this is comparing radius with texture, radius with area, radius with radius. Doesn't make sense. The only thing that makes sense to me is radius with area, because I can easily compare that. In area with texture also I can see. You know, this area and texture also makes sense a little bit. Because again, it is more based on the area than on anything else. Make sense? All right. So back to where we were. How do you make cluster on Tableau? You in analytics, here you have that option, right? I'll remove this. So here I can just, in analytics, I just drag this cluster over here and say how many clusters I want. So it automatically generates those clusters. Then I don't know what algorithm it's using, but that's not how it is. I mean, all right. So supervised learning, there are a lot of examples where you have regression, where you're looking at a number in terms of predicting the house price, probability of fraud, amount of fraud. Classification is again whether it is a fraud or no. This will be logistic regression. This is fraud or no fraud. Yeah, again similar. Right, unsupervised learning, what normally happens. So here, right, when I'm looking at this image, I am grouping only the ducks together. Here, Daffy Duck, Donald Duck, Daisy Duck, if I got that correctly, and then Mickey Mouse and the remaining are grouped together. Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. So they are clustering based on the features. So here, when we are trying to cluster this value, Tableau is automatically thinking that these clusters look similar to me. That is why I am grouping it in that way. And grouping similarities. So this outlier, pattern recognition, all that comes into that. You can group similar types of news articles based on the kind of information which is present in that particular article, the keywords which are present in that particular article. Yeah, outlier, you can easily see, right? One fish is going on the right hand side, the other fishes are going on the left hand side. So that's an outlier. So here also, if I see, if I remove this, I can see these are outliers where it is still a benign, the area is also high and the radius is also, I mean radius is okay, but the area is also high. So that is still benign. But over here, the others are malignant, even though the radius is in that same line, but because of the area, it's kind of becoming malignant. Okay. Dimensionality reduction is many times you'll have 50 variables, 60 variables, 100 variables, which is not possible for you to use practically. That is why you'll have to use something called as dimensionality reduction, wherein you're reducing the number of variables. There are algorithms for that. PCA, Principal Component Analysis, I think that's one of the algorithms. Then reinforcement learning is without any supervision you're learning. It's like what do you say? Reward, and for failure you're getting negative points. So for correct answer you're getting positive points. So if you go here, if it says a fire, you can't go to the fire without the water. So that is why you're giving a penalty. And if you go towards the water first, you get a reward. So that's how it's learned. That's how the robot is trained. I know how do you make cluster in Tableau? Okay, sorry. I don't know, the pop-up is coming very late over here. This is a very good example of unsupervised learning. So there's a story of a retail store. They analyze their data. Okay, they analyze the information over a certain amount of time, and they found out that whenever somebody is buying diapers, they also end up buying beer. And primary reason why, because, and that is all too on a weekend, not on a weekday. Primarily on a Saturday or a Sunday, if somebody is buying, especially on Saturdays, if people who are buying diapers are also buying beer together, because it's the man's job on a weekend to look after the kid. That is why they end up buying beer also. So what the retail store did, they kept beer next to the diapers so that their sales increase. So this is an example of market basket analysis. That just look at this example, right? Somebody who's bought milk has also bought bread, milk, bread, right? And sugar and eggs, sugar and eggs. So you will always keep milk and bread next to each other because every possibility, if somebody is buying milk, they want to buy bread. Make sense? I'm pretty sure you remember this, but I just thought I will explain this to you a little bit more, or rather make you revise this. There are a lot of examples like this which can be used. Okay, supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and reinforcement learning.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So if I have, say, two data fields like water and price, and if I have to plot this and do a regression analysis on this data, then what will regression tell me? That if the price increases, water quantity of water you can buy increases. I mean, if I do a regression on that, what will I learn?
What is water?
Amount of water, liters of water that I can buy.
Okay, but what do you want to do with that?
No, like say for example, if such data I have, and if I want to do regression analysis on that data, then like what will be the output, or what will regression do? What will regression tell me?
I was looking at looking at a video. Okay, I was looking at a video yesterday, and there was a very good example which it was explaining. You know, tips. What are tips? Come back to your question. Just give me 5 minutes. You know what are tips?
No.
No. You never gave one to a person in the hotel, restaurant.
Okay, tips. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So in US, these tips are taxable. It's part of the payroll. So I was working when I was working in my first organization. I was working for a hospital, and I was looking at the HR payroll system of the hospital. So we used to do, like you have Form 16s, right? There they have those W2 forms in the end, so year end. And I always used to think, what is these tips? What are these tips? So when you go to a restaurant, you have to tip that person, and those are taxable income. That is like taxable income from there. So this waiter, he looked at for each, he wanted to analyze this data. He wanted to analyze that for a particular day, how much tips I get. And he wanted to kind of predict in the future, right? That what would I get? What is the next tip I'll get? So if I put this value, a random value like this, I put rand between he wanted to find out the random value, but he forgot to put what is the quantity over here, in the sense how much did the person actually spend. So I have only one variable over here, but what do I do with it, right? So the best way to analyze this information is I take a mean of this particular value. The only thing I can do with this data at this point of time is the mean. He wanted to find out what is the next thing he can do with this data. What is the possible next tip this person might get, right? So if I compare it, if I plot this, right? If I plot this, because unless I don't have what do you say, value, right? Unless I don't know how much, where is this? Sorry. What is the amount spent by each client, right? I will not know what is the there's no relationship I can create. So I am ended up only with these tips. This is the only thing I can do with this data. Okay. Now in terms of regression, what you have is you have liters of water. Right? You said you have water.
Yeah.
And you have the amount. Do you have any other information?
No, I'm just hypothetically making something up that if I have any data and if I do regression on it, what will I know? What will I come to know?
So ideally, right, you would want to know, regression is going to help you identify what is the relationship between two different variables or three different variables. Okay, are they related or there is no relationship? Because the formula for linear regression is y is equal to mx plus c, right? Where m is, what is m?
Slope of the line.
Yes. And c is intercept.
Yeah.
Right?
Y-intercept, right?
Y-intercept. So if I have, so how many liters of water? 1 liter of water, 2 liters of water? Like this?
Yeah, yeah.
Unless I do not know, I have data by year, I can then think of a relationship. But here I can just say that, okay, there is a direct relationship between water. So this might be 39. This might be 58. This might become 114 because I'm reducing the price, or this might become 38 also, right? As the volume increases, there is still a slight reduction in the actual price. So this might become, no, 16. 6 liters is 6 into 20, 120. 200, right? So this becomes 190. So if I plot these two, values, I am seeing a linear relationship between these two. Making sense? I see the relationship
Yes.
like this. Because and if I add a trend line over here, I add a trend line over here. And I display the equation and this. There's a direct relationship between these two values. And the line is literally passing through it.
So
Yeah.
if I slightly change this and if I say that all the amount is the same, okay, if I say that I bought 1 liter of water for 20 rupees and I bought 10 liters of water also for 20 rupees, but this was in 5 different years. And then if we plot, then what will we come to know with regression?
That price is not changed because of
So
that.
that means, will there be any relationship between my two variables or no?
So let's put some data and check. So I am now using 3 variables. Okay. It is not possible if you are telling me that in a particular year price of water was, if I look at it, right, it's 20 now, but it was not 20 for a long time ago. If I plot it this way, I'm actually seeing that there is no change in the relationship, in the sense from a year perspective, there is no change in the amount. The amount is fixed. But if I look at this, what is happening is, instead of plotting this, I would rather plot amount per liter is there is a reduction in the amount per liter by year. Now if I plot the year and this, now I will see a reverse trend coming in. And now if I plot a line, right, I will see a horizontal decline, that the value of water is reducing every day, but it's the other way around. Making sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So like I was explaining, right, over here, what happens is we drew multiple graphs. In terms of regression, what you need to do is for this particular line, right, since this is only one value, this is only one variable, this is the best fit line. When I say best fit, I want to reduce this difference. Okay. So if I look at it, I have some residues. The difference between this and, let's say, the mean minus this. And when I look at it, this sum is 0. The sum of this residues is going to be 0. And when I say what I would want to do, I would square these residues. Why do I square it? Any idea?
Make the values, so to make the values positive, because
Yes, one is to make the values positive, but when I square the value, right, the square of, what is the square of 2? 4. What is the square of 3? 9. Square of 4? 16. Square of 5? 25. Square of 6? 36. When I look at this, right, 2, what is the difference between 2 and 6?
4.
4. But what is the difference between the square of 2 and the square of 6?
32.
Yes. So what is trying to tell you, right, this point is much far away as compared to 2, that when the residue is 2. That is why you square these values. That this point is closer to this point is closer to this line, but this point, right, is much far away as compared to this point. So relatively, I'm able to find that out. Make sense? All right. So now what we did, right, we took these random numbers like you mentioned and we created a, so again over here, if I format the trend line, I can add a equation and this. So this equation is as good as y is equal to mx plus c, where m is the slope of the line, minus 4.2667. I'm not sure if that is visible to you, but I'm going to try and increase the font. I hope it's visible now. Okay, and r square is 0.8805. What is r square? Any idea? So we looked at these residues, right? We looked at these differences, difference in errors. What we need to find out is we need to reduce this value. We want to reduce this value, the differences. That is what r square tells me. If the r square value is more towards 1, right, it means that all these points are very much close to this line. And when you look at this, all these points are close to the line. Over here, all these points are not close to that particular line. Make sense? That is what this r square value will tell me. So if there is a model where the r square value is 0.5, it is not really a good fit because 50, I mean, literally most of the points are not close to that particular line. So now Let me just go back to the presentation. Yeah, just look at this line. It's very different. So in simple linear regression, we have y is equal to, like we said, mx plus c. This is b0. This is the dependent variable. This is the independent variable. Experience. How does salary change based on experience? You have a coefficient. Yeah, so that is the slope of the line, and the constant, which is the intercept. So here, when you look at it, I am drawing a line like this: salary and experience. So this is B0, that is the intercept of the line. The experience is in years. Then I'm calculating the slope. Right? So what here you also look at ordinary least squares. I am taking the difference, that is the residues, and I am squaring this. So I need to minimize this difference, because that way I will be able to uh, uh, find the best fit line where this value is minimum. Okay. So first we are going to try simple linear regression in Python. You understood the concept, right? What happens in this? Alrighty then. So I am going to give you a little code. Let's call this believe it, today is the 7th day of our session. Very good. Just give me a minute. Okay, so when you want to do linear regression in Python, you have a package. All right, there's a package called sklearn linear model, which you need to import. Okay, from this linear model, you need to import linear regression. That is the package. So I'm going to first give you this code. Everybody has that easily. Okay, and then we'll look at it step by step. So the first step, insert a cell below. So first thing, I import these two. So I have done the first step, import this package. Okay. The next step, I am creating two values. I am creating two arrays or whatever, two numpy arrays. Okay. I need to reshape this into, and I will explain that. I need to reshape this. First, let's take it this way. The first line. If I do x, right, I see it this way, x dot shape. I have it this way. I have two columns, which is the requirement, which is why I have reshaped it as -1, 1. If I do the shape of y, there's only one column over here. Okay. If I print this y, it's a flat line. That
So
is the
what does
requirement.
reshape function do?
If you remember, भूल गए. It reshapes the array.
Sir, my
Yes.
Jupyter notebook is not opening.
Did you try online? Can you try online?
No.
No, on the internet.
Sorry, sir.
Internet, Jupyter online.
Okay, but sir, the normal one which I use, it's asking for a password or token.
Password. Can you share your screen?
Yeah. So this is the screen I got.
Your Jupyter is on, Kino. You're
Yeah.
running it in Anaconda. Can you run it? Close this and run it again.
Sir, actually, when I run it, no, the PDF file opens. So I used to open this Anaconda Navigator, and then I launch it once, and the PDF file comes, so I close it. And then I go to the history of my browser and go to the previous worksheets, not worksheets, the notebooks.
So can
See,
you do one thing? Go run. Click on run and type Jupyter over there.
here,
Run. Windows में
where,
run. Windows run Jupyter.
yeah,
Windows run कमांड है ना Windows में. Windows का दिख रहा है आइकन. हाँ.
हाँ,
करो.
oh sorry,
Jupyter.
Windows में,
Type Jupyter. No, just type Jupyter.
here,
आप सिर्फ टाइप करो आएगा उधर आपको. हाँ, Jupyter नोटबुक ओपन करो. राइट में ओपन है ना. रुको अभी. ओपन किया.
hmm.
होल्ड ऑन.
So nothing is happening.
I don't know, you'll have to close everything. You close this, close Anaconda.
This also Jupyter
Yeah,
Notebook.
close this, close Anaconda. Go to Task Manager. Task Manager.
वो किधर होता है?
इधर राइट क्लिक करो, टास्क मैनेजर. Go to details. Do you see Jupyter in that? Just check. If so, close it.
Yeah.
Close that. Now try opening Jupyter.
So for Jupyter to work, this Anaconda Navigator has to be open, right?
No. You can directly open Jupyter. But अभी मत खोलना. अभी तुमने वो खोला ना.
Okay. Let's see.
I don't know why this is happening. PDF तो नहीं खुलना चाहिए कभी. Go to Google Chrome. Does it open anything over there?
No.
I don't know. We'll have to check it. Can you go to online, Jupyter Online, and try over there for now?
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen. Yeah, so coming back, we have created two arrays with that value, with some random values. Okay, I just created two arrays with some random values. What we are doing now is we are going to be using the function linear regression, which we have imported. So we take a model and we assign that model the function linear regression. Along with that, I am also using the function to fit these values x and y. Okay, I have fitted those values and I am running these two lines. I am going to show you for these two values that we have. Okay, for these two values that we have, when I go to Excel, who is that? Can I take the other line also? Okay. I plot a scatter plot and I'm going to draw a trend line. Display this equation and display this R square value. So we should be getting this same value when we use it through Python also. Okay, we should be getting the same value of the intercept and the coefficient. And the R square value should also come same. Make sense? Do you agree? Yes or no? Hello? You guys there or no?
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
So you were explaining reshape.
Yes, so reshape. So if I have two arrays, one second. If I have an array, this is my array, and if I do array dot reshape, this 1 comma 1. That is what it is, right? And so here first, okay, let's do this first. Array. So this, if you see, right, this is just one column, one row, right? Four values are there in this. And when I do this reshape, when I run this reshape, and now if I check the shape, gadbad hai. No, this is not what I wanted. This is what is happening. Actually, if you remember, we had even faced some issues. When I do it this way, array2 dot shape, do I get that problem? This way. Okay, I have not stored it anyway. That is why it's giving me an error. Sheesh. Understood? I am reshaping this entire array into
So it's
4
basically you're telling how many rows and how many columns.
Yes. So for the earlier one, what I wanted was, since I did not save it anywhere, four comma one. This is what I wanted. Instead of four, just four values, I wanted one column also that way. Because that is the expectation from this function earlier. Next. Okay, this shape is required in that way. All right. Hello. Hello. So I'm going to repeat this a little bit so I know where we are. So you see this R square value is what? 71587. What did we get over here? 7159. It's the same thing. Making sense? I am getting the same value when I'm using Python also. I'm getting this value in the same way. Okay. Now what do? For to get this line, right? To get this particular line, that is the best fit model. I have to use the value of y predicted. I am going to predict the value of y using model.predict, where I am passing the parameter x. So for this particular x, what do I have? I know a particular value of y, and here what I'm going to do is I get these values 8.333 for each of them basically. Okay, so basically I'm getting 8.333. If I plot this, right, if I plot this, I should get that same line which I'm seeing over there. ऐसा कैसा हो गया? Okay. I don't know why it's not showing it properly over here, but you can actually make out that value from here. When you just look at it, right, this is the same line which you see over here. You can see this line, you can see this line also, and you can see the points are actually same only. Okay, so I'm getting the same value when I predict this. So I can actually use this formula. Y is equal to 0.054, 0.54. Okay, y is equal to 0.54 into x. This is my value of x plus 5.633. 5.6333. Make sense? I have got the same value from Python as well. Now what is important is to get the coefficient. So there, right, if I print this model coefficient and model intercept, if I print these values, I will get the same thing, 5.633, 0.54. That is what I've used, right? In the formula, if you notice, 0.54, 5.6333. Make sense till now?
So
Yes.
I understood what you're trying to say, but I have a question if you can scroll a little upper.
Yes.
Yeah. What is this hashtag y equal to? Why is this coming?
It's a marked off line. It's a commented line.
I mean, what it automatically comes? What is it?
No, I've added it. I've commented that line.
Meaning?
It's not executable code. So I can type like this, hello world. like this. It is not executable. It's the comment. In coding, you need to write some comments, something which is
Okay.
not executable. So that is where you use hash over here. A lot of others have other programming language have backslash, front slash, single quotes like that.
Okay.
So
So I'm not getting the same R value, R
what,
square value.
what are you getting? You're using the same values, X and Y.
I
You
have used what you've sent in the chat.
so there, right? I'll tell you what you're getting.
0.9 something.
We are using this line, no? I'm assuming you're using that line. Is this the line you're using?
Yeah.
You're getting this 0.98?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because I had changed these values. So you can actually try this for any other value which you want.
So
Yes.
I'm sorry, but I'm asking too many questions. But why do we do this reshape? Like, why do we want the array to be in a horizontal, I mean, in a vertical format?
Let's say I remove this reshape. Okay. Let's say I remove this reshape. I am going to get an error because it is telling me this function, right, which has been written, this linear regression function which has been written, the expectation is that it should have a 2D array. Makes
Okay.
sense? That is the ask. That is why this x value has to be a 2D array. So what it's telling me, right, practically when I look at it, it is telling me I want a value, I want an array which looks like this. I want a value like this, where I will put the value of y over here. Practically, you can think of it in that way.
Okay.
I'm going to calculate the value of y over here, and I am passing this value of y separately. I am passing x, and I am passing this array. And I am passing this value of y. Makes sense? This is the ask from that function.
Okay.
Got it? Because it is not a function we have built, it is an inbuilt package. I am not writing the function. So I am using something which is provided by sklearn. So in that sklearn, the requirement is that x column should be 2D array. Got it? Make sense? Yes or no? And it's mentioned over
Yes.
here also that you
It
need to
makes
use
sense.
reshape. Everybody got this? How to use this model dot. So I am importing this library. I am importing this package of linear regression. I have used two arrays, x and y. Okay, in this array, I need to first use any variable and assign linear regression to it. Once I do that, I am just going to fit the two values, the two arrays which I am using, x and y. Got it? And I will get the same intercept also. I'm getting the same intercept also which I have, which I got over there. Sorry. Understood everyone how linear regression is done in this Python? We're going to use a little bit, we're going to do something more complicated as compared to what we've done till now. So are you guys clear on this? Everybody tried this? And you can visualize this, right? We can visualize this value. Once we have predicted this, right? We predicted the value also. So let me just run this again. You see this line? I have drawn a plot, I have drawn a line and a scatter plot, and I am getting the same line which I saw in Excel. I get this trend line, right? I'm getting that same line over here. Everybody got it? Did you guys try this? How to use linear regression in this? Hello? Everybody was able to try this or no?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please explain this part in Excel once more, sir, before the visualization wala part, sir?
All right. So so let me just take this data. Okay. You understood what is linear regression, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. So what I have done, I have taken these two lines. I have taken these points. I have plotted a scatter plot. You need to use scatter plot, not a line graph. You need to use scatter plot. Once I plot this scatter plot, I add a trend line. This trend line shows you in Excel multiple options. So here I can even use logarithmic, I can use exponential, whatever I want, right? I can use those. What is important is to display these two values of R square and the equation. And I'm going to increase the font of this so that it's visible. Right? I'm hoping it's visible now. And when I look at this trend line, I can actually use this exponential. You see the values will change. If I use polynomial, right? So here polynomial, the R square becomes 1 if I use this formula. Okay. But we are using only linear regression. So for that, the R square value is 0.7159. You get the slope as 0.54. The intercept is 5.633. So if I extend this line till here, it will be 5.633. That is the intercept of this particular line. So the same equation which we have, we are getting in Python. So in Python, we are using the function linear regression. So I'm taking a value model and I'm assigning linear regression to it. Okay. Whatever that is, linear regression. The package that I got, right, I am assigning this value to it. Model equal to linear regression. Then I am fitting these values. When I do model dot fit, I am passing the value of x comma y. When I pass the value of x and y, I get this line. I can get this line. Why? Because when I fitted these two lines, I get the R square value also. Yeah. So is there a question in that screenshot?
So can you repeat? I couldn't hear. When you write model dot fit, what happens?
When you're passing this model dot fit, right? You're fitting these values of x and y into the model. When that happens, right? This is the main step. This is the main step wherein you get these points. If you look at it, right? I get the R square value after I have done the prediction. Okay, after I have fitted this value, right? I get the R square value only after that. So I get model dot score only after this. R square equal to model dot score. When I do this, right, I get the value of R square as 0.7158, whatever it is. 7158757, right? So that is rounded off to 7159. The key step is this model dot fit, because here I am passing the value of x and y, so that it will fit these two values and it will generate this equation for me. That equation I can get when I print the value of model coefficient and model intercept, right? I print these two values of model coefficient and model intercept. I am getting the same coefficient and intercepts. Did you get it? I have to open the door. Just give me a second. All right. So, did you get that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah. So the main step is model dot fit. Without that, you will not get that value.
So then explain the y prediction also now, the new y value.
So the new y value is using the same thing. When I do new y value, right? When I do this y prediction is doing the same thing which we did in Excel. Okay. So I'm using the formula, right? 0.54 into x. You see this equation into x. Into
Yes.
this x plus 5.633.
633.
Okay, I am getting that same value over here. I can get that same value there also. Okay, I can get that same value here also. What I can do is I can do y2 is equal to, where is x? So the intercept is model dot coefficient. Yeah, model dot coefficient into x. Let's see if this works. Plus this. Same thing. Do you see the same values?
Yes, sir.
You understood what we're doing?
Yes, actually, before I could not understand this part on Excel. That's why I got confused at what we were, doing it in Python. Now it's clear, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So this is a very simple example of how you can do linear regression. What we're going to do now is, or do you want to try that on your own? Let me know. There is a file on the server, basically on the, where is it? there is a data in this insurance analysis. Okay, there are 3 files actually: insurance 1, insurance analysis, insurance 3, and insurance 2. Insurance 3, if I open it, if I read these 2 files, insurance, this is by age. One second, let me just open the entire file. I have insurance charges by age and gender. Age, gender, BMI, number of children, whether the person is a smoker or no, and the region, and the charges. Okay, I have this data. All right, and so I'm going to use only age, and I'm going to use only charges. So what I have done, I have created this file which has age and which has the average charges by age. Just to simplify the problem, I am going to try and use these 2 values. So let's say if I plot this, right, if I plot these 2, I plot a scatter plot and draw a line, or rather add a trend line. Show the equation, show the R square. I need to get the same thing using Python. Okay, so let's try this. I'm going to try this. It should be easy. So INS is equal to read dot read. I read and tried to read a CSV from an Excel, so it threw me an error. So INS dot head is this value. I can do INS dot describe. Right, 47 rows are there. The mean is 41. For the charges, the mean is 13720. So I'm getting all this information using describe. Now I'll do the same thing. I have my X value as age, Y value as charges. So I'm going to define X1 is equal to INS dot age dot reshape -1, 1. Dot shape. I got what I wanted. And Y1 is
INS charges.
yes, INS. So now what will I do? I will take another value. I will say regressor is equal to linear regression.
Then regressor dot fit.
And what will I pass?
X1, Y1.
Have I passed this properly? Why is it giving me an error? Did I do something wrong? I think you've done something wrong. Yes. I have not passed this. Yep. So let's take the R square value. How do I get the R square value? The model score, right? That is my R square value, if I'm not mistaken. This model
Yes.
for X and Y. So I'm passing X1, comma Y1. So I get this 0.70567. Is that what I've got over here in Excel? 0.70507. Make sense? So I get this value. Now I can even showcase the same, right? I can actually print this value. I have the coefficient and stuff. So I can predict. Now I'll predict the value. So Y1 pred is equal to regressor dot predict. Okay. I'm going to pass. What will I pass? X1. I'm going to pass X1.
X1.
Yes. And when I show this, so it's an array. That's why it's getting this value. Now we'll again visualize this value using the plot that we had. Okay, we are going to plot this value. So I'm plotting X1, comma Y1, X1, comma Y pred 1. So what am I plotting? I'm plotting, what is X1? Age versus insurance cost. It is Y1 pred, not Y pred 1, sorry. Right. I'm getting the same line. I got this here. I got the same thing here. Make sense?
Yes.
Now, normally this is not how machine learning works. In the sense, I can use the entire data. Okay, I can use the entire data to build the model. And if I have less data, it makes sense to use the entire data set. But normally what happens is you split this information. You have to split this data into test and training. So there is this line. Okay, there is this line. What it does, it is creating training data, testing data, X train, Y train, and Y train, Y test. Okay, what it does, it is splitting the value 33% for testing and 66% for training. So what we do, right, and again I can show that to you, what we do, I can use the entire model for this. What we do is I split this function, right, is splitting the value terms of 1 by 1. Okay. It is splitting this x1, it will split this x1 y1 into 33% test size. So if I look at this has 16 values. In training. So these 47 values have been split into 31 and 16. So what we'll do, we'll build the model using 31 values. We'll build the model using 31 values. We'll fit the model using this X train and Y train. Okay, we'll build the model using that. And then we will predict the value for the remaining, the testing. I'll predict it for both, but I'll be using it in this way. The purpose, like I explained, right? In the presentation we were explaining, you have the concept of training and testing. You have the concept of training versus testing. Is that? No, there is no minimum requirement. Ideally, people go with 20 to 30% of testing. They split that. The more data you can actually use the entire data set for training. You can actually use the entire data set for training. But what makes sense is you should split that value. You should split, take 80-20, 30-70. Right? 70 for training, 30 for testing. Because you want to validate the model. You, like I said, right? As a kid, you were shown some images. You don't want to overfit or underfit the model. That is the purpose of this training and testing. So overfitting means you're getting a very good value, your everything 100% is fitting, but tomorrow if you get another value in production, it will not work properly. It will give you a skewed value. Okay, so here I have used this splitting the value. Okay, so in the same way I am predicting that value. I can predict this. Okay, I can now, let's say if I predict this, I use that model. Okay, so what do? Reg is equal to linear regression. By the way, I'm going to copy this code over here. And what should I do? Reg dot fit use x train y train. And if I want to check this r square value, reg dot model
It's model dot score, right? Or reg dot score, right? I don't know.
1 minute. Reg dot score. Yes. Intelligent. Okay. And I'll use this x train and y train, right? So here I am getting, since I reduced the data, right, the model, the r square value became 0.65. Makes sense? Because I use less data. If I'm using more data, right, the r square value is better. Okay. Does that help? Does that give you an idea? So I fit the model using this, but I will predict the value of this y. I can predict the value of y train, but I will use the same model to predict the value of x train, x test rather. Now when I fit this model, I mean if I visualize this plot, I'm going to use x train. I'm going to use y train. I'm going to use x train and y predict train. So this is the plot it looks like for X train and Y train. Now using the same model, I am going to predict the value for Y test. Okay, I'm going to predict the value for Y test prediction. Equal to reg dot predict, and I will give X test. Okay, and if I print this, alrighty then. Makes sense. This is how I do it. This is the purpose of training and testing of the data. What I would rather get, probably I would get a better value if I use the entire data, because the data is less in this case. But I just wanted to explain this concept of training and testing of data. You got an idea? I mean, you'll have to try it to understand it. I'm going to also share with you a link, because there are certain, what do you say, assumptions from a linear regression perspective, which people also need to check from a statistics point of view. So I'm going to share a link with you. You can try that as well. You will get an idea, and again we can check that sometime next week. It might be a little bit more technical, but I think you have understood all the elements which are there in building this, right? Because till now you have seen the different elements, you know how to plot a graph, you know what is the meaning of all the lines which you have of code which you have written over here. It's now up to you in terms of how you interpret and use that now. Yes, madam. Yes, every time you should do training and testing. You have training, testing, validation. That's what it works. That is how it works. Because you know how your model. So ideally, right, we have data very less. We have very less data. Normally, you should have at least 2 to 3 years of data in practicality, but you might not get that data also. But still, there are other models using which you can do that analysis. So like I said, you can actually use the entire data set, and a part of it you can still predict, or you can show the entire for prediction. So first what we had done, right, we had taken the entire data set and we had predicted the values here, right? We took the entire data set and predicted the values. So that is also possible, that is also feasible. But from a core data science perspective, everybody will train and test. All right. So I'll place this file. I'll also upload the video, and you can try this. Okay. Any specific questions? कोई विशेष टिप्पणी? If not, then we will call it a day.